All right, hopefully we're live now. I had a couple of issues before this stream started. So sorry for anyone that was in here early. Um just had a lot of issues with trying to get the stream to run. I was originally using Streamlabs and it just wasn't picking up my mic. So hopefully my mic sounds okay. I'm back on OBS for this stream. So we'll see how that works, I guess. Um but yeah, it's a struggle sometimes. Let me get chat up real quick since I'm not using Streamlabs. Let's just put chat there, I guess. Hold on. Also, unfortunately, chat will not be up on screen for this stream. So, there is that. I can't find a good place to put my chat on my screen where I can actually see it. It's very frustrating. But yeah, sorry for the late stream, guys. But yeah, hi Metal, how are you? Hi Random Stuff, hi Advocate, how are you? How are you guys doing? I got a little bit of story time for you guys to start the stream. So, as you guys may know, I usually drink tea on these streams. I have my mug, and I go ham. It's something I've picked up over, I guess, the year or more of streaming, and it's just good for my throat, right? And especially when a lot of days these are some of my recording days, plus doing a stream just helps my throat. And so Sunday, me being a really smart person, I was gonna make some tea because my throat was kind of bothering me. I just got done doing about half of tomorrow's video, which is a chapter rereading for you guys that don't know or don't watch that series. Um, and so I had the tea going, I had the kettle going, and I go in because football's on. I'm a big NFL football guy. Okay. And so, I'm watching football while, the kettle's getting warmed up, the water's getting warmed up. And then I'm, doing some of my exercises. I have stretches I do for my back. And then I have like some core exercises and stuff. So, yeah. So I'm doing all this and I'm getting really like excited. I like watching my football. And I completely forget that the kettle is on top of the stove. Okay. So like midway through me doing side planks, which if you guys do side planks, they suck. But, they're good for your core. So I'm doing it and the smoke alarm so it starts going off. Now me thinking in my head, I'm like, smoke alarm? Must be like one of the batteries are going out or something, right? No. No. That passed my head for like a couple seconds. And I'm like, left the kettle on the stove. So I come back in. There's no water left in the kettle. It was that like it was that heated up to where there was no water left. It was like so bad that the kettle actually was stuck to the top of the stovetop. So I have to get a new kettle. Long story short, and that's why I don't have tea. So this stream, it's not actually sponsored, but it's sponsored by Aquafina. This is a huge shout out to the OG stream fans because I haven't done that in a while. Um, Can't complain, just eating some stew at the moment while I take a break from modeling. And then I checked YouTube and saw the stream being in the near future. Well, you'll love to see it. High Phase Diamond, how are you? Tea is good. I take it cold where you live. So I am a big hot tea guy. I don't really like cold tea. Hi Cody. Also, sorry for the animation not coming on. Oh, but it did come on. Okay. I didn't think it was going to come on because whenever I do this stuff with OBS, it doesn't happen. But thank you, Cody, for the super chat / donation. Did you comment anything? Hold on. I'm trying to make sure this chat's not goofy. Okay. But thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. How are you doing, Cody? Let me know how your day is. But yeah, I like it hot, and I live in like the Midwest of the United States, so our weather is very, yeah. My favorite team is the Patriots. I've gotten more and more frustrated with them as the season started. The offense is just bad. Just bad. By the way, we are going to get into wins of winter stuff, guys. So yeah, I just, this nice little introduction stuff. What is going on here? this is a mess. Trying to do this on YouTube is or not YouTube, on uh my OBS is a mess because it's just not optimized for streaming. It's just not. Okay, there we go. Oh, okay, sorry, you did comment. Sorry. Hold on. Let me go back up. Why is this so frustrating to use? Big fan of your stuff. Happy to catch you live. Well, I'm happy you were able to get into the stream, Cody. I really appreciate all the support you guys do. It means the world to me, and that you guys would feel like you need to even support me in that way. Means a lot to me. So I appreciate it. Hi, Dirty Dan, as well. But getting back to the Patriots, okay? It's such a weird thing because I feel like Mac Jones is taking all the heat, but it's like our offensive line was absolutely terrible last night. Receivers are not getting any separation. We had no running game last night. It's like it's not Mac Jones's fault if literally no one on the team is doing anything. Offensively, defense and special teams is top tier like they are every year. Oh snap! The water evaporated. I've done that with noodles before. Yeah, not great. Tea, the drink of empires, of course. Well, Cody, again, I appreciate it, and go pay. You love to see that, Cody. I live 30 minutes from Gillette. That is super cool. I've told my parents that's kind of where I want to go. I would really want to take a tour of the Patriots Stadium. Patriots got a fan base strong in this. Well, I mean, the thing is, the Patriots were just so successful for so long, so they're just gonna have a really big fan base across pretty much everywhere. Dan, congratulations to your Dolphins. I'm glad to see that they're doing like good. Like, as from a Patriots fan, like I was someone that was really high on Tua coming out of the draft, and I'm glad like he's finally. I feel like maybe getting some recognition and stuff. My dog, thanks for keeping God alive in my feed. No problem, Mike. That's something that I think was when I look at my channel. By the way, again, I know I'm not getting into Winds of Winter stuff yet, but we're gonna get there. Okay. Some of this, the opening 10 minutes of these streams are usually like, we kind of figure out how everybody's day was doing, just talk some casual stuff. But one thing I didn't know what I was gonna do on this channel was I didn't know if I wanted to post consistently like a lot of videos every week, or do just videos that were higher quality but have them be spread out. So like my example for that would be like Alt Shift X. I feel like is someone that doesn't post as many A Song of Ice and Fire videos, but when he does, they are bangers. So I don't know if I want to do that or be consistent with just uploading like maybe like not as much edits with them, but posting like 4 videos a week. And so that's kind of the route I've chosen. But yeah, but I appreciate you guys all for supporting me and such. It's awesome. They have an awesome Hall of Fame at the stadium. It's great. Well, I definitely want to see that. I saw that they put in the big like jumbotron. That looks really cool. It definitely changes the atmosphere though when the stadium used to be more like open. But yeah, we'll get into Winds of Winter, I guess. Shoot, I need my phone. I just put it on the charger I need for questions. All right, let me get my phone. All right. Also, I'm so like mad because I put on my Halloween costume. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is yet because it's a surprise. I'm going to do it on stream. It's going to be an interesting stream because it impairs my vision because I have glasses. And so yeah, it'll be an interesting stream. All right, so let's get to the Instagram. But I was going to have like a post with one of your guys' questions on it. But, All right, so also, this is another segue. It's another little shout out here. If you want to get your questions in for these streams, remember, follow the Instagram. I usually, whenever I do these Q&As, always on the Instagram story for you guys to ask any questions or topics you want to see on this stream. Second thing, if you don't want to do that, just look for the YouTube community posts. I always put those out either the day of the stream or the day before. But yeah. It's all, or I already read that. Greece and House of the Dragon definitely keeping God alive despite George's attempts to kill the series by not finishing the series. Yeah, I mean, I think House of the Dragon has done quite a lot for bringing back just casual viewers, which is always a great thing. But we'll see how that continues. Chance's wins get split into 2 books like Feast and Dance after George's publishers beg him enough to release a mainline book. So I could see it, especially with George saying that he has, 50, 60% of the book done. Now, again, we don't know if that's like chronologically 50 to 60%, or that's like, oh, he has the entire plot line done for this character, or he has majority for this character. So there's actually, a possibility that if it's chronologically, like he has the first actual half of the book done, then yeah, maybe, the publishers are like, hey, why don't you just do this? People are tired of waiting, and you can maybe satisfy people for another 10 years while you try to get the second half of it done. That's possible. I don't think it's a bad idea. I went to the Eagles game and the preseason game. The new screen is awesome. We love to see it. Well, Cody, okay, so I work every Sunday, so I very rarely get to see all of like the Patriot games. I'll see bits and pieces when I have like kind of a break time at work. And yeah, I mean, the Patriots are a team that like it's so frustrating because they're not a team that's like in full rebuild mode, because the team has all of the pieces, especially on defense. Like the Patriots have a great defense. The fact that they hold the Dolphins to 24 points with the offense doing absolutely nothing, and with the Patriots continuously turning the ball over, is actually mind blowing. They do it with the Eagles too. Eagles a really good offense, held them and gave the offense plenty of chances to win the game. It's so frustrating because you look at the offense and there's just so many mistakes. There's so many things that are just simple things that we can fix. Holding on to the ball, bad penalties, just protection breakdowns, free rushers at Mac Jones, who's an immobile quarterback. You just can't have those things happen and win games. So yeah, I don't know. That's my thing with the Patriots right now, is they're just so frustrating to watch right now. Hey, when did you start? I thought it was later on. So it was actually supposed to start at 5:15. I was late because I was having some technical difficulties, but we started at 5:24. So yeah. But hi, Matthew. How are you? Would you rather be a Maester, Kingsguard, or Night's Watch? Definitely not a Night's Watch, because that's just a awful life. Kingsguard would heavily depend on who the king is. I would say probably a Maester. It's the safest job of the three. Um, and you're just highly educated. Maybe you can get some insight into that Maester conspiracy stuff. I feel like being a Maester wouldn't be a bad job. You're basically kind of just a teacher. You have a lot of power. So I don't know. Out of all the goblins on YouTube, you're the best and the greasiest. I don't know. That's a statement, Philip. There's a channel called the Goblin King channel. They don't post that much, but I don't know. I don't know about that. Shout out to my second channel, by the way. If anybody wants to subscribe on there, you can. I don't know if the link's in the description, but almost at 100 subscribers on that channel. So there is that. Percy Jackson video I put out got a little bit of traction, so we'd love to see that. Hopefully Jon is resurrected relatively early in the book. Yeah, I think he probably will. I think within, that first, quarter, he probably is. He has characters completed, but not a chronological completion for wins. Yeah, I think that's kind of the issue. If you're gonna try and split the books up, you have to have at least part of it done. Hi, Jesse. How are you? Do you think some elements of Battle of the Bastards will be intertwined with the Battle of Ice, or could they be two separate battles, Jon included or not? Uh, for me, I the only thing I think that I will take from the Battle of the Bastards is that yes, the wildlings will be with Jon, and I think that they will probably, again, see, this depends on what theory you believe in, right? Do you believe that Stannis is going to win against the Boltons or not? And so for me, I believe Stannis is going to win. I think Stannis's outcome is going to come from the hands of the others, the White Walkers. I think that's what's going to kill Stannis. And so when you look at the Battle of the Bastards and comparing it to where I think the Battle of Ice is going to actually go, there's not really many similarities. The Battle of the Bastards, in my opinion, is just a very illogical sequence when you really think about it. And I don't think there's going to be this rescuing force if we see for instance, Stannis or Jon attacking. I don't know. Have you followed Preston Jacobs fanfic project? What do you think about it? I have not followed it so far. I'll be honest, I'm someone that really doesn't get into fan fictions that much. I don't really like making fan fictions. I had this kind of discussion with someone who commented on my last rewrite. I think it was season 6, which is basically just season 5, but the second half of it, and adapting Feast and Dance. And I talked about how I don't really like doing that. I don't like trying to make George's story. I like predicting and things like that, but I don't like actually making the story, and I don't particularly enjoy like reading them either. Um, and I think the other thing with that is it's like I know going into a Preston Jacobs fanfic, and this is the thing with every single YouTuber, every single person, they all have their different interpretation of characters, of where they think Winds of Winter is going. So I know, like, reading it, I would probably be like, I kind of have like things that I'm like, I don't really agree with some things. And so I don't know. I've thought about like reacting to it for like maybe a stream series or, something like that. Hey bro, how you doing? I was just thinking about how much I want Wins. We all do. We all do. I talked about this. When Wins comes out, it's gonna be a very busy time for me with content. When Callan came back to life, she was no longer Callan. She's Stoneheart. Same with Benjen. He's now Cold Hand. So, what do you think John will be when he comes back? So, there's been a kind of a discussion on this, and I think the idea here is that John's kind of soul will be in Ghost, and so that when he's come back, his soul won't be as like touched. So, I think a lot of people, and including me, think that John will be changed because again, dying, being betrayed, all these things is going to change him. I'd really like to look at the idea of John being in Ghost for so long, and the idea that he's going to come back being more like an animal, someone that is much more maybe aggressive. He's not nearly as patient. He's not someone that is kind of this quiet wolf. He's someone that kind of gives into more of his animalistic type things. I think he'll be someone maybe a little bit more revengeful. So I think that would be a really cool like plot line to go with for John. Predictions on who will be the characters for the opening slash prologue and ending slash epilogue. So the epilogue, I would really love to see Stannis. I really love to see. I know again that Georgia said no new POVs, but it's like it's the epilogue, so usually that character dies. So I'd love to see Stannis in kind of this last battle with the others for him. I think that would really work wonders for his character, would be very compelling, and would be a nice conclusion to his story. The opening, I think the opening is pretty cool with Jane Westerling. I think that'd be a really cool open. But yeah, Benjen isn't Cold Hands. That's a great point. Benjen is not Cold Hands. Didn't even think about that when I was reading that statement. But yeah, no, Benjen is not Cold Hands. There's a lot of evidence that goes against it. Like, Cold Hands is apparently this very old or older being, and that's not Benjen. Jingle Bell is a stallion in Mouse World, of course. Famine could be a good alternative if we never get wins. That's true. I could see Stannis winning the Battle of Ice and Jon and the Wildlings helping with the Siege of Winterfell later on. I definitely could see that as well, Matthew. All right, so let's get to some questions. So we'll start out with Noah Hook. Thoughts surrounding the storyline of Davos and Rickon. Also, while you guys are in chat, let me know. Does my mic sound okay? Like, is it too low, too high? Let me know. But yeah, so Davos and Rickon's plotline to me is a weird one because when you look at the northern plot going on right now, it's gonna kind of feel like Dany in the first book, where it's kind of separated from the rest of the story, but it's still very much tied into the normal story. And so Davos is going to have this journey to Skagos. And what do I think the main points of it are going to be? To show how Rickon, again, has leaned more into, again, what I was talking about with Jon, of being more wolf-like, being this wild child that he kind of was already leaning into, being this kid that's definitely not fit to rule the North. And so I think for me, it's going to be that realization for someone like Davos, like Wyman Manderly, where this is not the kid. We can make him a figurehead, but he cannot be the kid ruling the North. And so to me, I think Rickon comes back as this device to rally the North behind, but it's inherently going to be a character like probably Jon, who ends up maybe being the actual leader alongside of people like Davos, like Wyman Manderly, that kind of sort. So I kind of think that's where that plotline's headed. Maybe we see some of the Skagosi help out in the war. Maybe we see some unicorns. Maybe. Is there more than one Cold Hands? I'm not sure, Maz. I don't know. I've never heard a theory as to why there'd be more than one, but how do you feel about the theory where Stannis turns into the book version of I love that theory. It's very interesting. I've done a video on that theory, and I'd say it's one of my favorites. I don't know if George is going to do it, but if there was going to be like a Night King figure, like who better, right, to have as the Night King as Stannis? I don't know. I really like that idea. Audio was fine. Well, thank you. Sounds good. Thank you. Rickon is definitely a wild child. Once he awakens his warg ability, he's going to be wild. Yes. And yes, Maz, as we talked about on Instagram, cannibals and unicorns. All right. Moving on. Matthew James asks, does Marjorie live or die? I think Marjorie's destined to die. I think the Tyrells have gone way too far into this book without really any casualties, unless Loras is actually like on his deathbed. It's time for them to get the reckoning. I think Marjorie being tied to Tommen at this point of the story is fatal, and that's going to lead to another question that Matthew Crooks has. My goated mod in the chat is going to ask me about in a second, and we'll probably hit that question next. But I think she's destined to die. I think her being linked to Tommen is fatal, and I think the story kind of leans towards her being out of the picture. I think a lot of these major characters that don't really need to be in the story anymore, in my opinion, I think they just die. I think they die. Rick Khan is gonna have an army of Scott Gosey following him. It's very possible. She dies probably not from a sept explosion though. That's probably too, because the thing is, like, Marjorie's not gonna be in the capital more than likely, so maybe it could be something else. Maybe she comes back to King's Landing. Possible. I don't know. All right, so let's move on. So this comes from Better Call. I love the name because that show is goated. But so since Robb made Jon his heir, did he only make him king of the North and not king of the Trident? So this is an interesting question because I've gotten a lot of flack for this. I see people comment this on my videos all the time, especially in older videos, that this isn't confirmed, like that Robb named Jon. For me, I feel like it makes the most amount of sense narratively for Jon to be the heir. I don't know who else Robb would have named that makes sense at this point. And the fact that we even get this argument with Catelyn, to me, it makes the most amount of sense. Like, who else is Robb going to name as King of the North? Or his heir, his successor? Bran and Rickon, in his mind, are dead. Arya is dead, presumably. Sansa is married to Tyrion. That's a no-go. Okay, well, who else does he look at? Maybe Edmure? But at that point, Edmure doesn't really have any claim over the North, and people would not back Edmure to be the king of the North. You can't really look at the Tully faction. And then there's just, I feel like it has to be Jon. Like, who else could it be that makes logical sense to me? I don't know. I think the only Tyrell that's alive by the end will be Willis. Yeah, I really like that as well, Violet. What if the prologue chapter will be Ned at the Tower of Joy showing us his sister's death and the promises he made and Jon Snow's true parentage, maybe including Rhaegar and Lyanna's relationship? That would be really cool. Like, what if Ned, or not Ned, what if we kind of had like you're talking about, like, what if it was a flashback, right? What if we go back to when Ned's in prison, or Ned is right after his engagement with Jaime and he's having these dreams, and we kind of have just a flashback into Ned's mind and he like thinks about all these things. That'd be really cool. Maybe we could see this through Bran as well. Maybe Bran, but maybe it's like one of those things where it's a Bran flashback, but it's a Ned POV. So it's like we're actually back in Ned's head. That'd be interesting. Well, that actually reminds me of a question I forgot to ask. Euron attacks King's Landing after Old Town. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think Euron at this point is going to have the forces necessary to do so. And I think right now Euron is very much doing tactics where he's taking forces and moving them somewhere else. Right? He's kind of doing this tactic where he's not really engaging on any main force. He's drawing main forces to an area and then leaving that area. So I think you could definitely see, like, if he survives the Old Town engagement, which he probably will. I don't know. I've gone kind of back and forth on it. Maybe he goes to Highgarden. It's right down the road. You bring all these forces over to Old Town and you go for the bigger fish. That could be possible. I don't know. I wonder if the reads telling Bran about the Night of the Laughing Tree or Laughing Tree will prompt him to look at that time when he can. That'd be really cool as well, Michael. Yeah, that would make sense. Do you think Bran will be more interesting in what? Yeah, so this is what I think is very interesting for Bran is I think it's very possible this could be Bran's last POV book. I think the problem with Bran is going to become he's going to become a character like Varys and Littlefinger, where he just knows too much information to be in his head at all times. And that's the thing. So I think Bran is being set up for his most interesting book because he's going to be this character taking in all these informations or this information. There's so much George can do with him. There's so much George can, throw at us, whether it's lore, whether it's things to build the plot. Right now, George has done a lot of stuff right now building towards Blackfire lore, in my opinion, whether that be through the World of Ice and Fire, whether that really be through the Dunk and Egg stuff. He's really been hinting at more Blackfire stuff as the story has kind of developed. And so I could definitely see him doing something where it's like we get a flashback of maybe one of the Blackfire rebellions or something like that. And I think that'd be really cool. So yeah, I think Bran is going to be fundamentally much more of an interesting character because the biggest issue with Bran is that he's always a character that is not doing things, he's watching other characters do things. And when Bran kind of starts taking on this role where he's an active participant in the story, where he's actually doing things, he's going to become more interesting. And there's just way more opportunities for George to put interesting stuff into his story, like the stuff with the Night of the Laughing Tree. That was one of my favorite Bran chapters. Um, Vagon will attack King's Landing. Could that be where most of or all of the Tyrells die? Not attack, but try to take it. I definitely think you could possibly see some Tyrells die in this situation, but I'm not sure because the issue is Mace Tyrell and Rhaenys Tarly are going to meet young Griff at Storm's End right now. And I just don't see there being this huge battle between young Griff and Mace Tyrell. I think it's much more likely that like Mace Tyrell maybe just stays out of the way. Because that's kind of been the Tyrell mantra is just stay out of the way, don't get our forces really bloody unless we're going to win. And so I don't think that's going to happen, right? I think it's going to be one of those things where the Tyrell's going to sit back and wait. And if Tommen dies, well, now Margaery's free to marry again. And with young Griff not having anyone, married to him right now, he becomes a very interesting candidate. So I think the Tyrells are so difficult to look at because there's so many ways that they could play this situation. And how is Olenna going to factor in all this? What is her thoughts going to be on the situation? There's just so much going on right now that's hard to predict the Tyrells. At this point, I think that I care more about A Song of Ice and Fire fanfics than the actual series, as it seems George is not really interested in his main story anymore that much. I can definitely see where you're coming from on that, Can. All the Tyrells, I believe, aren't in King's Landing. Mace's marked into... Yeah, so there isn't really any Tyrells. I think where the question was more leaning towards was more like, okay, if the Tyrells go back to King's Landing, right? They see that maybe there's a threat there, or for some reason, right? Maybe it's Cersei's trial and they just want to be there. If they come back, well, could they be caught up in this fight? And it is possible. Do you think Margaery might marry Fagon? King's Landing is overrun with Tyrell loyalists right now. So the one thing I will say about Tyrell loyalists at this point is I actually don't know if I'd agree with that statement. Just seeing as like a lot of the Tyrell power has actually left. Like there's almost no one right now in the small council that's still in King's Landing or alive. And so with all of these forces going other places for the Tyrells, I think Cersei will have a decent grip on power. But the thing that's gonna, I think, destroy her is that the Gold Cloaks, for one, are gonna flip on her. I think that's just gonna happen. And I think with how Cersei has pissed off everyone, I do think that when young Griff comes, the gates will basically be open. But I do think, she could marry Fagon. I think we could see a situation where Fagon takes like two wives, takes Margaery and Arianne. I think we get to see any more of Rodrik the Reader Harla. I hope we do. I don't know when we would though, is the issue, but I hope we do. Maybe through an Asha POV, maybe. I don't know. Mace was en route to Storm's End, but doubled back when he heard of Margaery's arrest, if I'm correct. No. So this is what ends up happening. I'm pretty sure. So what we get here is that at the last chapter that is official to the story. The Winds of Winter like samples can always be changed, but in the epilogue of Dance, Mace is going to Storm's End, right? He's gonna do all that stuff with Storm's End, and he's whatever. So him, Randall Tarley leave. Paxter Redwine isn't even there. He's dealing with the stuff down south. Um, but yeah, I don't. I'm pretty sure he's still en route to Storm's End. Maz. I might be wrong on that. Maybe double check me, but I'm pretty sure, given what we know in Dance, that that's where he's headed. And also, Marjorie isn't in the capital at this point either. Uh, Sounds good, Mar. How are you doing as well? All right, let's move on. So, Matthew's question is, who do you believe will crown Jon Snow King of the North? So we'll answer that part, and there's a second part. So who do I believe will crown Jon Snow? I really like the idea of like Wyman Manderly. I think that to me is just he's kind of in the figurehead right now of the Northern Resistance. So I can see that. I could also see Howland Reed as he's going to have a lot of information into Jon's parentage. So I think Howland Reed or Wyman Manderly are pretty good shouts for that. And who battles Euron if the others come? I think the interesting point here is going to be I think we could see again the voice of Old Town has really swayed me into believing that it's going to be Bran that's going to be kind of this counterforce to Euron, being kind of the successful student of Bloodraven, and Euron kind of being the failed student. But the forces that are going against him, I think it's going to be whoever survives, right? Whoever survives this battle with the others, that's going to be the resulting force against Euron. All right. Okay, but is it possible that Varys and Littlefinger are working together? In certain aspects, they could, right? If Littlefinger sees kind of where the wind's turning, he could try to go on Aegon's side, right? Trying to maybe marry Sansa to Aegon. Yeah, there's a possibility there. Do I think it's likely? No. Also, I don't think that Aegon would take two wives. Targaryen had a problem with that even when they had dragons, and this move would definitely harm Aegon's case more than it benefits him. I definitely see your point, but at the same time, if Aegon or Aegon was going to marry the Tyrells to him and the Dornish to him, there's not a lot the people of Westeros are going to do about it. And here's the other thing. You got to put this into your mind as well. The people, their choices right now are Stannis, who no one likes, is in the north. He's a ways away. Your second option is Tommen the Boy King, who a lot of people think are an incest kid, which he is, who basically at this point of the story is going to be being ruled by Cersei, who everyone hates, and the Lannister regime has not done well up to this point, with just, I guess, public opinion. Then you have young Griff, who is he looks like a Targaryen. He's going to have all of these victories. He's got all this momentum. The people are going to like him. If he has two wives, people aren't really going to care. I'm going to that's how I look at it. When it comes to what the other options are right now for the common person, you're going to choose young Griff regardless of if he has two wives. And the other thing is like if you have House Tyrell, are the Maesters really going to get all, or not the Maesters, but I guess the Faith really going to get all up in their jammy, I guess? I don't know. And the thing with the Faith Militant is that's going to probably be a problem for young Griff regardless. And he's going to have to deal with that issue if Cersei doesn't deal with it before him, right? That's kind of how I look at it. And I think if you're the Faith, you have to understand, with the Faith Militants, like, you can't make enemies of both young Griff and Cersei. It's probably not going to be a good move. The voice is low. All right, Mar. Well, I will try to fix that at some point. I can't really move up my volume right now because it'll have to be like my gain and such. I could try. Hold on. Where's my mic? Does it sound any better now? I turned the game gain up about 1.6. Hi Casper, how are you? I don't know why the scroll wheel will not work when I'm Oh my god, this is so frustrating. It's so frustrating to use chat on this. Uh, why is this not letting me use it right? Why can't I scroll up? Why do I can only use okay. Um, House Baratheon does not exist. Only the Durandon blood. The Durandon blood, their castle, their lands, their words, their form, and their strength. Fair enough, Mar. All right, let me move this back up here. Okay. Why did Illyrio help Viserys if he had Fagon the whole time? Maybe he had a secret deal with Drogo to take him out, and he didn't consider Daenerys a threat. So to me, this is where I think there's a lot of things that I just don't. It's hard to understand Illyrio's motivations. That's why he's such a compelling character to me because, yeah, what was the point, right? The whole idea that we're given is that Illyrio and Varys wanted Viserys to come over with the Dothraki army and just cause havoc, right? Just kickstart this war and start screwing everyone up, right? And then young Griff comes in behind and he looks like the savior, right? Kind of like what he's doing now. The issue with this is the plan makes no sense. You then, okay, so the idea here is Daenerys marries Drogo to then get Viserys an army that can't even cross the water, and they did that because Drogo was extremely progressive, and Daenerys convinced them. And you also have the threat of her dying, right? They tried to kill her. So, how the hell were they expecting that to actually happen? And it doesn't make any sense either because it's like, why wouldn't you just kill off Viserys, right? They could have just poisoned him in his sleep or something, whatever. He also could have gotten a reward from Robert for doing this as well. Just don't tell Daenerys, right? Don't just say Daenerys just just doesn't know, okay? Keep her in the dark. Again, Daenerys at this point, very timid. She is someone that doesn't stand up for herself. And then just marry Daenerys off to Aegon when you're ready to reveal him. And now it's like, okay, well, you actually, even if Young Griff's a Blackfire, you've united the two dragon claims. So I don't know. It's a plot that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Uh, this chat box is really making me mad. It's just like, I can't see the whole chat. Like, so when you guys first type something, I can't see it. I just comment a question on the stream announcement page for YouTube space. Really don't want. Oh, don't you don't have to, Josh. I'm gonna head over to that when I'm done with Instagram. So you don't have to type it out again. I think the plan was to use Dany to hatch the dragon, steal the dragons, and bring them to Aegon. I'm not sure how the Dothraki would come into play. Well, here's the thing though, Maz. Like, if Illyrio knew that those eggs could make a dragon, like I don't know why you would need Dany to do it, right? And even if you could, you still can have Dany, but just marry her to Aegon. Then you don't have to steal the dragons, right? They're already with you. I don't know. How will Fagon be exposed? So if we're talking about to Dany, I think it's going to be because she goes to Pentos, and I think she's going to have a conversation with Illyrio, and that's going to be kind of come to fruition. Also, remember, Tyrion kind of has some suspicions about him as well. So I think to me, I think there's a couple ways that Dany's going to find out, especially with Quaithe as well, and the prophecies that she's given her. But the public, I think the public, it's more going to be a smear campaign from Dany. I think Dany will be the one in her camp that's going to kind of figure it all out and tell the public. Maybe Illyrio is putting his money in one pot and it's more Varys. Is the Fagon supporter being a Blackfire himself or some secret Targaryen? Very possible. I get the feeling George R. R. Martin came up with Aegon after book one. I kind of agree, Philip. I just there's some things in book one to me that don't really add up with the later books when it comes to Aegon's plot. We'll see how George kind of resolves some of those issues, maybe. But as of right now, I don't know. Or after seeing Viserys failed, he then used the backup plan, Fagon, someone Illyrio seems to care about, so it makes sort of sense. He wants to keep him. So yeah, okay, I definitely can see that. I mean, I can definitely see that. I think It's not a bad rationale as to what Illyrio and Varys' planning was. I think the love triangle changed from Jon, Arya, Tyrion to Tyrion, Sansa, and young Griff. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I could definitely see Littlefinger trying to use Sansa as a chip with young Griff. I definitely could see that. Because again, Sansa has a ton of value right now. With Sansa being the character that's like the only Stark left really that people know of outside of Jon, who's actually dead right now, and also being, that Tully claim as well, and kind of having a bit of that claim to the Vale as well through kind of like the Lysa side. She's very valuable right now. She's very valuable. Um, yeah, George didn't come up with Aegon reveal until the later books. He retconned Illyrio supporting Aegon. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense in my opinion. I always found Blackfires weird, as apart from their names, they are basically Targaryens themselves. Yeah, I agree, Ken. No, the thing I dislike a lot about the Blackfires, they are not creative in their names at all. They just name everyone Daemon, and I'm just like, why? Like, it's kind of like the Targaryens with Aegon. Everyone is named Aegon. It's like, come on, guys, come on, make some different names. All right, next question comes from Maz. Do you think Qyburn has any hidden agenda or ultimate goal? So, Maz, I'm just gonna throw this out there right away. Everybody in A Song of Ice and Fire has some sort of hidden agenda, but what that is, I'm not sure. I think just on the basic terms of it is one, him kind of supporting Cersei right now gains him a lot of power, a lot of influence. It builds up like him, right? Kind of Littlefinger role, right? Two, he is kind of a psychopath. Like he just likes, it seems like likes torturing people. Seems like he likes experimenting on people, and Cersei gives him all of that like stuff. Like a normal ruler is not going to give Qyburn like women to do his experiments on, right? So he's gaining a lot from a partnership with someone like Cersei because Cersei allows him to do all these things. And not to mention, if Viserys was able to cross with the Dothraki army, he would have weakened the kingdoms immensely for Fagon's forces. Yes, that is correct. Therefore, George will marry her to young Griff to end the hostility between the two houses, and Jon will be the one to be independent in the north. Interesting. Okay, that's an interesting idea. I will say I do think Sansa is not the like Queen of the North. She to me is just someone that she's just not northern. Like she's the complete opposite of a northern like person, right? She's the least northern. She's someone that I definitely could see maybe ruling the Vale or ruling something like. I really think Edmure is going to rule the Riverlands, but I think that makes more sense for her. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so we have two more questions here. So this is a nice one. Should Tommen ban beats? And my quick answer is yes, he should. Because beats are not good. I don't like beats, and Tommen doesn't really like them either. So yeah, ban them 100%. Next question come. Oh, by the way, that question was from Jay Cone, so thank you. Um, Next question is from the Colin Diaz. Do you think Brienne could be the younger, more beautiful queen in the Valancourt prophecy? I do think it's an outside shot, and I think it would be really interesting because Brienne has never been really beautiful in this world, and it'd be a nice parallel to her nickname and kind of the things she's gone through, and her relationship with Jaime, kind of taking that from Cersei. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I don't think it's going to happen in the Valancourt prophecy, but I like the idea. But yeah, interesting question there from Diaz. So thank you for that. All right, so let's go on over to the YouTube questions. I'll answer some chat while we're in between things. Do you think Jon Snow is still a bastard if fathered by Rhaegar, or if not, what do you think his name is? I think he will have been legitimized. Probably, it just makes sense given Rhaegar's idea of wanting to have the three heads of the dragon. Unfortunately, he did not have a woman, so or a girl, so he didn't actually have like Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya parallel. But I don't know. His name is interesting because I think you can go a lot of ways with it. I really liked the idea of his name being Jaehaerys. I think he could also be Aemon after the Dragon Knight. Um, Daeron, the young dragon, that'd be a cool one. Um, yeah, I like those three names. He's not gonna be named Aegon. That was dumb. That was dumb. Uh, I love pickled beets. Matthew, you're wild. I agree. Sansa is learning the southern way of doing things, not the northern way. I don't think the North would support her. I 100% agree, Violet. Also, Violet, I see you commenting on the other channel. That's a true supporter right there. I mean, the Mountain Clans are only marching Winterfell to free Arya at the moment. That is correct. Do you think there will be hostility between Jon and Edmure in the Snow series if Jon returns to the South and the secret about his parents is revealed? I don't think so. Because firstly, because Edmure has been just taken as a joke in the show. Um, but, I think they'd be fine. But I don't know. I don't even know what they're gonna do with the Snow Show personally. I like the idea of Arianne being the beautiful queen married to Fagon. Yeah, I really like that idea as well. The Advocate. Hey everyone, long time no see. Hi Ghost, how are you? How was your day? Yeah, that is a great point, Can, talking about her inner beauty. It's something that is not really talked about so much in the story. I really like that idea. What if Sheepstealer is on Skagos, but is really old and slow at this point, like Valerian was later in his life? There are hints that there is a dragon on Skagos. What if the others use him as theirs? That'd be really interesting. I don't think it's going to happen, Marco. But I think it's a really creative and interesting theory, though. Harris and Eamon seem likely to me, probably leaning more towards Eamon. Yeah, I agree, Dirty Dan. I don't know why I said Dirty for a second. Didn't finish your name. That was really weird. Don't even start, Matthew. Don't start. I think that Jon's name is simply Jon, as I don't think Lyanna had the opportunity to name her son, and I think that Rhaegar was sure Jon was going to be born as a female, so never cared about male. That's a great point as well, Cam. That's a great point. Who would win? 1-1 versus the Mountain? Oh, 1-1's clapping his cheeks. Um, didn't George R. R. Martin say that Ned named Jon? Kind of implies that Lyanna didn't live long enough to name him before expiring. Probably only had enough time to secure Ned's promise of protection. So I think the idea would be even if Ned did name Jon, well, the thing is, like, Lyanna could have named him something that Ned couldn't like use, right? Like, if Lyanna is like, yeah, his name is Jaehaerys. Well, he can't go around saying his name is Jaehaerys Snow. It kind of rings a lot of warning signs, right? So, of course, you're going to change his name. So then Ned would be like, oh, yeah, well, his name is actually Jon. So, what do you think will happen to House Martell and the Tyrells at the end of the books? So, I think House Martell is going to have a very. I think House Martell and House Tyrell are very similar. I think you're going to see a lot of them die off. I think House Martell could fully die off. I think that could be just Duran has waited so long to get his vengeance. All these things is meticulous plotting, and it blows up in his face because he goes with the wrong dragon. And then House Tyrell, I really like the idea that I think it was Violet that said, um, the idea of Willis being kind of the last of the Tyrells. I just dropped my water. Also, for people that weren't in the stream, we're not drinking tea today. If you want to hear the reason why, go back to the beginning of the stream. It's called "I'm an Idiot," and we're going back to the good old days of Aquafina. So yeah, the stream is sponsored by Aquafina. I'm not getting paid to sponsor them, but I am. So quality water, the best water. Uh, Take a good time to hydrate and get yourself some Aquafina water. Aquafina, that's your chance to sponsor me. Not excited for the snow show. Yeah, I'm not either. I really don't care about it. I don't really think it has a point. Like, if it came out, I would review it, but I don't have high hopes. Don't really have too much of an interest in it. Lady Stoneheart would kill Littlefinger as he caused a lot of the events that led to her family's downfall. That'd be really cool. I'd really love that payoff. Arianne and Aegon marrying makes Dany regret not taking the Dorne marriage alliance when she could. It's possible. I mean, I think Dany I think Dany's marriage was very short-term thinking and not long-term thinking. But do you think they will rectify the show's butchering of House Tyrell in the new show, or they continue the god awful? I mean, it's too far gone. Unfortunately, it's too far gone. Like, what can you do with House Tyrell at this point? Like, all the major players of House Tyrell are dead. Like, there's nothing you can really do there. Unfortunately, because they got done dirty, but it's okay. Is it me or did Jordan had been really quiet the past? Yeah, I've noticed this. So I've kind of, every like couple weeks, I kind of just go on his Not a Blog just to make sure I didn't like miss anything. And yeah, he hasn't really talked about wins in a while. Do you think Darkstar knows the truth about Jon, and what do you think he will do about it? I personally don't think he knows the truth, but if he does, he definitely could be somebody that maybe is looking to give him Dawn, possibly. I don't know. Rhaegar was obsessed with the prophecy. He could have named Jon Azor Ahai, probably not, but who knows? That's true. I don't think he would have, but could be. Oh god, I love my boy Bronn, but he being Warden of the South and sitting on the small council was a slap in the face. Yep, it was just literally just god awful. Like, if that actually happened in Westeros, there would be riots the first day. Like, any house in the Reach would just be like, no, sorry, we're this is just not happening. I like the thought of Lyanna named him Jon as a Stark instead of a Targaryen name, because I think if Jon became legitimate, he'd be a Stark, not a Targaryen. Okay, I like that idea, Violet. Do you think Jon Snow is Brandon Stark's son? I do not. I do think he is, Rhaegar and Lyanna's. But yeah. Willis will most likely survive the story. Yeah, I agree. I think the way Jon and co will win the Long Night is Jon facing the Night King as bait for Dany to burn them, but Dany will survive the fire, basically confirming him. Ooh, that'd be interesting. But I really like the idea of like Jon, because the idea is like Jon has to be the character that has some sort of interaction with the White Walkers or the others that is very impactful. And if you don't, then it feels like a slap in the face. For instance, the show, right? The show did this really badly. You don't have to have Jon be the person that kills the Night King, right? You can do something else that pays off really well. I've talked about it. For instance, I really like the idea of Theon being the one to kill the Night King. But they had no confrontation between Jon and the Night King, so you felt like you wasted, 8 seasons where it's like, hey, we've been building Jon up as the kind of the counteracting force to the Night King, and then we just didn't do anything with it. Right? Have Jon fighting the Night King, and the Night King's about to win, and Theon saves the day, or something like that. Do more, right? There's just so many issues with how that plot was resolved, where in the books, I just don't see it happening that way. When George is quiet on his blog, it means he hasn't really written much. It's very possible. I was just thinking that today. He's been a little silent lately. I'm hoping that's a good sign. Then again, I wishfully hope everything is a good sign for me. Yeah, I agree. You think that the end will be Jon and Daenerys escaping on the back of a dragon and flying to an unplugged? No, I do not, Mar. I think Daenerys is probably destined to die. Jon is a character I can see surviving, but I think he'll be a vastly different character. All right, we got to get to these YouTube questions because I want to watch football. That's kind of why I started the stream a little early. But yeah, let's get through this. We're gonna rip through these real quick. All right. Ivan Blue Cool asks, what is Blackfish's role in the story going forward? And will Aegon be able to take over the realm in a quick manner before Stannis or Dany find out? So, first question, I think his role is really going to be about taking back the Riverlands and taking back power for the Tullys. His plotline, I think, is going to connect with Stonehearts mainly. And I think he'll be someone that it can be, again, kind of a role he was already in with Robb, right? And an advisor. He could be someone that eventually, hooks up with Robb, or not Robb, Jon. As that story kind of continues, maybe the Blackfish dies, right? We could see him dying, trying to take back his home. That's very possible as well. I do think young Griff will be able to take over majority of the realm before Stannis or Dany can really do anything. The SSG Cringe asks, do you think the Tyrells will switch sides with Aegon seeing the opportunity to make the Lannisters pay for their schemes and disloyalty? I think there's a possibility. I'm about 50-50 on it because I think it makes sense politically for the Tyrells to do so. But they're also like they have a lot to lose if Marjorie is not married to young Griff. They fall quite a lot. And so that's the thing that I think it's a gamble, but who knows? Um Matthew has some more questions. What would you like the fate of the Freys to be, including their seat of the twins? I'd like them to get eradicated off the face of the earth. I don't think that's going to happen. I think one of the more minor Freys probably comes into, well, I don't know. They might get all killed off. I don't think they will because there's so many of them. I don't know. I really don't know about the Freys. I don't think I don't know. I don't think they're all going to get killed off. There's just too many of them. But I think they will survive. I think the seat of the twins will probably still be there. But I don't know. The Dreadfort, now the Dreadfort's a different question. The Dreadfort, I think, could be something that's a castle that's stripped down. The Boltons are all going to be dead. I think that castle might be gone. Like, we have like a red grass field type situation. Um, do you think Jaime will rule the West by the end with Brienne? Or do you believe, other than rocks, come to the show's conclusion for both the characters? Yeah, so I don't think Jaime will rule the West. I think Jaime is going to die. Um, Brienne, again, I think will live, but not in a like way like that. But yeah. The Advocate asks, how many POVs do you think will get killed off and wins? I think there's definitely going to be a couple. I think Victarion or Barristan is on the chopping block. I hope it's not Barristan because I think he has way more to offer to the story. I think Barristan is someone that is really insightful, especially going into the young Griff conflict. So I hope it's not him, but I think Victarion could be one that's going to be killed off. I think Bran won't even be a POV by the end of the story. I think there's a possibility Jon is not a POV by the end of the story, and I don't mean like getting killed off, but not a POV anymore. Arya Hoda is gonna die. Trying to think of other ones at this point of the story. I think Brienne will survive. Jaime could possibly die by the very end. Cersei could maybe die by the very end. Yeah, I think that's off the top of my head. I think that's probably what I'll say. What time is this? Well, that's unfortunate, but Josh, the streams at this point have been kind of inconsistent, as in what time I start. But I usually try to stream anywhere from 5 to 6 is when I start. What theories do you have regarding Littlefinger's demise? We know that as a relative side villain, he and the Boltons will need to be cleared from the game, but how? So I think there's a couple ways. One, I think Sansa is finally going to gain the power over Littlefinger. I think I talked about this in a video a little bit ago, but I think Sansa very much is learning kind of Littlefinger's tactics. I think she could get Lothar Brune to really switch to her side. We've kind of already seen how he does, like respect Sansa and helps her. So I think it's going to be probably Sansa taking Littlefinger down, kind of figuring out the schemes he's doing and all of that. So I think it'll be Sansa. Now I do like the theory of maybe Lady Stoneheart being the one to do it, but I don't think Lady Stoneheart's going to live long enough to actually meet Littlefinger. I'm particular to the theories that Sansa and the Vale army go north to link up with Jon and not south to Fagon. Sansa finding out what happened to Jane Poole seems like a perfect way to set her up against Littlefinger. Add that to Janos Slynt's friends in high places remark to Jon. I think Bran and his powers entering the equation would make it too easy. See, I don't think that Sansa's going to go north because the issue is there's just so much movement that's going to have to happen. Now, will she go north as in like maybe Moat Cailin? Yeah, I could see that, right? I could see her meeting up with Jon there. I don't think it's going to be anything like the show where Sansa comes all the way up to Winterfell and all that. I don't see that happening. I think the North will be overrun by that point of the story. And I just think there's way too much that needs to be accomplished in the Vale plotline for them to already be all the way marched up into the North. But I don't know. And then the question from FaZe Diamond is, do you think Dany will have all 3 of her dragons by the time she gets to Westeros? No. I think she has to lose at least 1. She's just too overpowered right now. She has 3 dragons, which alone could take Westeros. She has all of these armies. She has Tyrion, Barristan behind her. She's just too overpowered right now. So the only way to kind of, in my opinion, counteract that is she has to lose a dragon, right? And I think the coolest thing would be if they actually got split up. Like you have one with Euron, one with young Griff, and then she has Drogon. I just don't see a world where she has all 3. Maybe she still has all 3 and then she starts losing them, but she's just too overpowered right now. All right, let me look at comments. How are the others going to be defeated? I don't know if they're going to be defeated. I really like the idea that there is a pact between the living and the dead. And it's a very somber ending where it's like we didn't really win, but we didn't lose. We just continued living. And this could be a threat that maybe pops up again. I kind of like that idea. Have you seen any of David Lightbringer's theory that the theories may temporarily steal John's body while he's stuck in Ghost? I take it with a grain of salt, but it's an interesting thought. I have not. I've seen a couple of his videos or live streams, but I haven't really gotten very deep into his content, very like surface level. So I have not heard of that, but it does sound very interesting. Yeah, agreed, Violet. It's that idea of like why set something up, especially between John and the Night King, and then just not do anything with it. I also agree, Ghost. I think Theon from season 1 to season 8 had the best like character arc. He was the best character. Do you think? No, I think Arya will kill Lady Stoneheart. Maybe Daenerys conquers Westeros and the Free Cities, Marine is shy and all of that. She names Fagon the Warden of Westeros, and she gives the North freedom and Jon Snow King of the North. No, because it's too easy and it's too happy. That's the only thing I'll say to that. We take our toll. That is correct. We will. Marwyn predictions. I think Marwyn just kind of sides with Dany for now. I think he's not really that like loyal to Victarion, and or not Victarion. What am I talking about? I was thinking of someone else, but I think Marwyn finds Daenerys, and I think we might dive deeper into the Maester conspiracy stuff, which I like. I really like that idea. I think Marwyn is going to be someone that's like going to instruct her how the common people are going to feel, like how the Maesters control people will be something I think Marwyn is really going to explain. So yeah, we'll talk about Maquaro at some other point. But yeah, Matthew, you do that sellout shit. We like that. Um, who would win this one? So I guess we're talking like hand-to-hand combat, Maester Aemon or Doran. Oh, Maester Aemon's just destroying him. Dampier will get, yes, I agree. I love the theory of Arya dying to her, at least her body will, and she'll live through Nymeria's body. Yeah, I think it's a really good theory as well. I wonder how Cersei will survive the Fagon conflict. Well, there may be a video coming out this week. Yeah, I'm just gonna wink wink to that. I think Arya will die in the Winds of Winter. That's possible. I don't think so, but it could be. Um, all I'll say on the Fagon Cersei plot is there's so many routes it could go. I think if she does survive it, which I don't think she will, I am one of those believers that thinks it's time for her to die. I think she goes back to Casterly Rock. George R. R. Martin has hinted that we're going to see it again, and what better character than Cersei? Yeah, John's comment in Game of Thrones about finding her cold body clutching her needle was cryptic in hindsight. Yes. Martin about to rock up and tame a dragon with all his dragon lore research and magic knowledge. That'd be sick. Um, yeah, I think Michael, we've already seen that, right? Dany has not been able to control Viserion or Rhaegal at all. Drogon's the only dragon that really seems like there's that connection, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. And something I'm going to make a video, it's not going to be this week, but next week, is going to kind of talk about this idea of how Viserys could have won the throne. And, you know, him is going to be taking a dragon. It might be taking a dragon, maybe taking Viserion. You know, I did like the scene in Game of Thrones with Jon flying Rhaegal, so I hope we see that in the books and she doesn't lose two dragons. Yeah, maybe. If others end up not being truly defeated, I think the dragons would not go extinct again, as there has that balance between ice and fire. You know, maybe I could see that. Oh, knocked over my mic. Personally though, I just think the dragons have to die. They're just too much of a threat. Like they're too much of a threat to Westeros. Oh, here's one. Do you think Jon Con will learn about Jon's parentage or get cured of grayscale? He's not getting cured of grayscale, I don't think. But learning about Jon's parentage, I don't think so either, because I think that's gonna be something towards the end of the like Winds of Winter stuff. Just dropping by. So here's a quick question: we all think Jon is coming back to life, but will our boy Ghost survive the Jon resurrection process? Yes, he will, because he's a good doggo. I think Jon will have to die in the books permanently. There's no way George can fit him taking back the North, becoming king of the North, and going south as a claimant to the Iron Throne in Dany. I disagree. I think he can actually do it quite easily, because he isn't going to have to take back the North. The way I view events is Stannis is going to lay all the foundation for Jon to basically just take up the mantle, right? Stannis, I think he's going to beat the Boltons. I think he's going to get all the northern houses pretty much together, and then Jon's going to become more or less the person in charge after Stannis, because I think Stannis is going to die to fighting the others. I think Jon takes command as they go south, and I think towards the end of the book, when you see Stannis, giving his life and whatever force he leaves to fight the others, I think you see a lot of things kind of culminate with Jon finding out his parentage, getting the will from Robb. I think a lot of things point to that. Do you think the others will have a point of view? I don't think so, but that'd be really cool. Vagon will claim a dragon. Rhaegal and Jon Snow will warg into an ice dragon and claim that. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. I think Viserion lives, but no one will ride dragons again, so they just become a part of the natural world. Okay, be interesting. Uh, Ghost dies in Old Nan's long a night story. The dragons must die. They're too much of a threat. Well, to the common people, okay, they are. Okay. All right. And then we're just going to skip past that question. I'm not a green supporter, okay? The threat to Westeros seems like likely coming from Westerosi themselves apart from the others. Yeah, I think, you look at all of the wars that have happened over the years, the amount of human death that's happened because of Westeros itself. And the dragons don't help that. The dragons amplify that. The dragons themselves are nukes, right? And when you give unstable people nukes, bad things happen. How is Jon going to be king of the North if his true parentage as Rhaegar's son comes out? Wouldn't those two contradict each other? So I think the way I would look at it is Jon, for one, is going to gain a lot of the respect of the North before his parentage comes out. And again, I've talked about this, right? I think he's going to assume kind of a leader role. Being Ned Stark's bastard for the public's view is going to gain him a lot of support. And with Rickon coming back, being a character that's not fit for rule, Jon is going to have a lot of that leadership put onto him, I feel like. And so when we finally get this reveal, because we're going to get two things happening at once, right? We're going to get Robb's will, which will, in my opinion, it's my opinion because it's not confirmed, will name Jon as the heir to his throne, legitimizing him as a Stark. So on that hand, he already has the blessing of the last king. He has the respect of these people. And now Jon is actually like legitimized as a Stark from both Lyanna and Rhaegar's stuff, and then also from Robb. I think that's enough, right? And you could say, well, the North don't like the Targaryens. Well, you would have a part Targaryen, part Stark. It would be the best of both worlds for them. Now the North really has kind of that claim of, okay, we can be independent, right? We have a Targaryen. I don't know. Hi Haley, how are you? If Stannis' arc ends like it did in the show, I will lose. I don't think it will, Andrew. I think all the signs are kind of pointing towards Stannis not losing, at least the initial battle. I don't know if he'll take Winterfell. That's more up in the air, but he's at least, I don't think he's going to lose the first battle. Uh, yes, but will he be king of the North before learning of his parentage? But he still is a Stark and Robb his. I don't think he'll be king of the North before learning his parentage. I don't know. That's an interesting question, though. My thing with that can is that people would try. Like if dragons are in the world, people would try, and all it takes is one person that maybe has some sort of connection to Targaryen bloodlines to tame one. Do you play COD Mobile? I do not. Um, I'm not really a mobile gamer, Mar. Maybe I'll try it at some point, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a mobile gamer kind of guy. But yeah, so thank you guys all for stopping into the stream for your questions, and I will see you in videos this week or in next week's stream. And yeah, bye guys.